Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, brothers in arms, World of Warships, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at an insane ranked replay that I had in the Bourgogne, the Tier 10 Premium French battleship. I'm of course playing by myself, and it's some domination here on the map Shards. So for those of you out there that have been around BIA for a while, you probably have eventually became aware that I really don't play ranked at all, like hardly at all. I think this is the 12th season of ranked. See, I don't even know. I'm pretty sure it's the 12th. I've played roughly 60 to 65 games in the preceding 11 combined. I participated in either season 5 or 6 when it was tier 7, and I played it for a little bit. I didn't really care for it. And then I think season 10 or 11, I played about 14 games to get enough steel for the Stalingrad. So it's just not my cup of tea. It's a game mode that obviously in this season is even worse with the carriers and the ability for people that don't have tier 10 ships to be able to play in it with the rentals. But I've just never cared for ranked. It doesn't, to me anyway, define how good of a player that you are. It doesn't show how good of a teammate, how good of a player you are, really, in my opinion, because there's just too many variables, and it's 7v7. You don't have anybody in your division to count on, so really, sometimes it just feels like the RNG draw of who is on your team at the beginning of the game, and hopefully they're good enough. So with all that being said, I've decided this ranked season to give it a try, and actually go through with it and see how well that I do. And so far I'm on rank 8 on EU, and I'm at rank 5 on NA. So far things are still going pretty okay. I'm at like a 65% win rate combined between the two servers, so things are going all right. But it's definitely taken a lot to get used to. Now, one of the reasons why I chose to play the Bourgogne is, well, I didn't really want to do ranked on my EU account on the Zhao or the Henri IV. Those are the only two tier 10s that I currently have. So I figured with the prior 2 clan battles and the last King of the Sea, I got enough steel to be able to unlock the Bourgogne. And this is definitely not the easiest battleship to play, but it does offer quite a bit of utility. Obviously, compared to ships like the Kremlin, the Montana, the Yamato, this is not a battleship that wants to go in and tank a lot of damage for the team. It only has 74,700 hit points because this is an Alsace hull at the end of the day. So this is a ship that does not stand up to fire well at all, and it's one of the reasons why you need to have a very mobile and flank-based playstyle with this ship. You need to be able to find angles and ways to deal damage to enemy ships. The first salvo downrange at the Henri IV, 20,000 and change with 1 citadel, and about 6 out of 12 shells on target, so that's about as good of dispersion as you're going to see out of this ship. And one of the reasons that the Bourgogne isn't necessarily feared in terms of its raw gunpowder, even though it does have access to the reload booster, is that this ship only has 15-inch guns. Even American cruisers are able to sit nose on to you and tank your shells and have a good chance of being able to ricochet them off the bow or off the superstructure. The Bourgogne doesn't have a lot going for it necessarily in the gun department. Obviously, my first 2 salvos, the second one that was on the other Bourgogne, did a little bit over 14,000 points of damage, but this is not like a Yamato or a Kremlin where you can kind of just, troll your way through enemy armor and get pens at ridiculous angles. You have to work for most of your damage in the Bourgogne, and when you are able to put yourself in good positions where you can take advantage of the reload booster, it is oh so satisfying. So I kind of liken the playstyle of the Bourgogne to somewhere between the French cruisers and the République. The République could be considered a battle cruiser, maybe not if by gun caliber or design, but just by the general playstyle, that kind of mid to long-ish range combat where you're not necessarily taking damage and you're utilizing your high rate of fire on your primaries to be able to deal lots of damage. It's kind of the same with the Bourgogne, obviously, the main caveat being, which I've already mentioned, the gun caliber not allowing you to overpen things. So you kind of got to play around with your angles and find good portions of the map to go to be able to find those good flanking shots and be able to deal large amounts of damage. So hence why I'm over here at the A cap. There isn't the Henry that was out in front of us is now down to about 1/3 HP, but you can see that the enemy team has made a pretty concerted effort to take the C cap, which they have had for a couple minutes now, and it looks like they're gearing up to push onto the B cap. Now, unfortunately, our GK is going to die. He's only at 10k HP on the B cap, so he's going to go down here any moment now. if I recall correctly. But the first thing that needs to happen is that this Henry IV needs to die. This guy is the only ship over here. He's alone on the flank, so myself and the Republique, we need to take care of this dude. But fortunately, I know the concealment of the Henry IV with a full concealment build, about 13.2 kilometers. I'm within that range as I pick up the solo base cap here very momentarily. There we go. I'm at 13.2. So even if he was a full stealth build, he is not going to be able to disengage from this, and now he's riding the map border, so it's only a matter of time until our shells start to land on target. Now, a quick side note, when you are shooting at ships that are on the map edge, and let's say that they are going full speed at it like that Henry IV was, I use the Type 3 aiming reticle, which has the hashes that go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way out to 20. So basically for me, whatever speed that they would be going at, or wherever you would aim if they were moving completely broadside without their engine being curtailed. So say they're going full broadside and you're aiming where the 20 dash is on the center part of the hull. When they're doing this BS, where they're riding the map border, you can basically cut that in half. So if they run into the map border going full speed and they're making a turn to the right or to the left, aim on the 10 and throw the salvo down range and you should be good. And you can see that all of my salvos against him staying there on the map border have at least found a couple shells on target, so it really wasn't that difficult. And although ships riding the border can be pretty frustrating at times, once you figure out where to aim when they kind of slide into your shells, then it doesn't really become that big of a deal. So with all that being said, the Henry is dead, and now myself and the Republique can try to get back into the fight here as the enemy descends upon the B cap. There's a Republique, there's a Kremlin, there's a Monty, and there is a Bourgogne. Now, like I said earlier, I do not want to get into a direct engagement with more than one battleship, or really, for that matter, more than one ship in general, just because this ship only has 74k HP, and it does not lend itself well to fights where you're tanking large amounts of HP. So what I'm trying to do here is get pot shots on whatever ship that I can engage, and in the meantime try to reposition myself. Now, you can see that the friendly Republique is currently sitting at G3, and he's kind of going to hold shop there for the next couple of minutes, because I guess what I would think is that maybe he's afraid to move to the north and try to flank around, simply because the aircraft carrier that's in this game, and that is a very valid point, because as we all know, carriers have a lot of sway in how ranked games go and in this game in general. So I could understand why he might be a little timid to try and push to the north by himself, but unfortunately, my positioning right now isn't necessarily the best. Sure, there are a few broadside BBs to shoot at, but unfortunately, I didn't detect that Kremlin sitting there, not doing anything for a length of time, and now, unfortunately, I drifted out of my firing lane. So as I was sitting here, I was thinking to myself, is it worth it to back up? Because it's going to take another 30 seconds to a minute. Obviously, a battleship does take a long time to get fully stopped and then going in reverse. So this is moments that I'm losing to be able to deal damage to the enemy team. However, it looks like they're really ready to push south through that B cap pretty significantly. As you saw as I peeked over there, my Shimakaze friend is on 323 hit points. The Midway was on less than 10,000. Basically, all of my dudes over there have gotten obliterated. And that enemy Shimakaze that's last spotted in F9, for some reason, is not being attacked by our carrier and is not trying to be spotted by some of our other ships. So it's basically just been a disaster. Now, anyway, getting back to the actual combat here, the reason why I decided to shoot that salvo at the Bourgogne was because he was not nearly as angled as well as the Republique was, and I figured that, well, I'm going to go and try to risk it on hitting that guy's superstructure. Unfortunately, our friendly Kremlin goes down, so now we're down 2 ships to 1. However, I do have a nice broadside salvo here on the enemy Kremlin, and this is a perfect opportunity to use the reload booster. Now, unfortunately, the results that you're going to see here are certainly not what I had in mind, but being able to shoot at a target that's full broadside, less than 14 kilometers, is an ideal situation for a Bourgogne to be in, so don't let the results fool you. Only 2 salvos, shot on the guy for about 15,000 damage. That was still good damage, and it was still a good use of the reload booster. So as it ran out, it still gave my 3rd salvo a little bit faster of a reload, and I used that to pump it into the Republique as I pick up my 2nd frag of the game on that tier 10 French battleship. I'm up to 109,000 points of damage, and now it's at this point that I realize that I really can't afford to sit here much longer. I need to go move into the vicinity of the B objective and try to do something. Now, again, if you've missed chat, I keep asking my midway, dude, please go after the destroyer. It almost seems too obvious, at least in my opinion. But for some reason, this guy is not attempting to go after the destroyer, and within the next 30 seconds, that Shimakaze is going to appear, I believe in H9, getting ready to run him down and kill him. So it's just completely frustrating when you see carriers not doing what they're supposed to do. If there's only one destroyer in the game, it's ranked. That's what you're supposed to do. Go find him, go kill him, or at the very least, make him burn his smoke, deal a lot of damage to him, and make it difficult for him to have any influence on the game. But with that not happening, I realized that it's time to put on the carry pants because we're going to need it. Now, fortunately for me, that Republique to my northwest is still in a nice spot, but now I'm going to get caught in between three battleships here. There's a Kremlin that's slightly off to my starboard bow, and then there's two enemy battleships, the Bourgogne and the Montana, which are off to my port bow. So I got to stay angled to all three of them. And fortunately, the angle that I am going in at is going to lend me being nicely angled to all three of those battleships. But I know that eventually that Kremlin is going to turn in, and then it's going to start getting very, very dicey. So the first thing that needs to happen, one of these battleships, the Montana or the Bourgogne, needs to die. And fortunately, my friend in the Republique is getting some excellent salvos downrange on that dude. So I was just thinking to myself, come on, Republique, if there's one thing I need you to do right now, it's to take care of that guy, because if he gets around the corner of the island, he could have a broadside shot into me. Also, the Kremlin is, for whatever reason, looking at my friend instead of myself, so this is the perfect time to try and close the distance and maybe go for a drive-by torpedo. Go for a drive-by on that guy. The Republique does manage to kill the Bourgogne, so that makes things very nice. My Republique friend is still on 16,000 hit points, so he has a little bit ready to tank with. You can also see that my Shimakaze friend decided to drop his torpedoes on the Kremlin. Now, pardon the replay bug, my turrets are absolutely pointed at the Kremlin right now. I'm turning in, but obviously I have the inside leverage. I shoot my two forward turrets, 36,000 damage. Unfortunately, I don't get the kill, but fortunately, the Shimakaze's torpedo does find its home. So I pick up the high caliber as that Soviet battleship kicks the bucket, and wouldn't you know it, right as I come around the corner, that enemy Hakuryu, trying to be very aggressive and get as close to his team as possible, gets detected at 11 kilometers. So I'm in a pretty nice position. I can go around the corner and hopefully deal with the Montana while still staying relatively angled, and then at this point, I just gotta try to rush down the enemy hack, because that's really the play that needs to be made. It's 5:44 to 8:42. There's only 7 minutes and 20 seconds left, but there's still enough time, hopefully, that I can get close enough to the carrier, and also because I've preserved my hit points a decent bit in this game, I should still have plenty more to tank with. I do eat about 14k from the Montana, but I return the favor with 28,000 points of damage as I pick up my third frag of the game, and now at this point, I'm yelling at the Shimakaze, dude, please get on the B-cap, we need to buy as much time as possible. Unfortunately, my deck armor gets rebalanced by the Hakuryu, so now I have lost quite a bit of the leverage and hit points that I did have just moments ago. So at this point, like I said, gotta run down that enemy Hakuryu. I have no idea what the Shimakaze is doing, but you know what? I have to absolutely risk it. If torpedoes started coming at me from my starboard side, I would basically not be able to do anything about it, and I would say, well, okay, whatever, no big deal. Can't do anything about that. But what I'm just trying to do now is do some maneuvering, the whole just dodge meme, even though, well, you can't really do that in a battleship very well, but whatever. I'm using my next heal, and I'm getting my speed boost activated, hopefully just trying to mess up his aim just a little bit. Even for a noob CV player, this is still a pretty easy drop. But one thing to note, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people know, while the Hakuryu and the Midway have amazing deck armor that can bounce Yamato shells at any range, they are able to get overmatched by 15-inch guns and up through their nose and through their stern. So you see here, I'm basically aiming at the point of his bow, or maybe just a little slightly right of it, and I was able to get a Citadel on the last salvo and some good penetrating damage on other salvos before. So this is something that's very, very important for all you BB players out there to understand. This is where you need to shoot these carriers if they are angled towards you. Right there, another good salvo of 11,700 damage. I decided to use my reload booster. I felt this was another necessary time to use it, and it's certainly come in handy, being able to chunk down the carrier to about 7,700 hit points, even though he was bow on. So at this point, my rear guns shoot, and I put him down to 2,500 HP. My secondaries are also going to town as well. And then you can see some nice little floaty shells come out of the corner of your screen, And because this is World of Warships, nothing changes. Nice kill steal by the Shimakaze. That would have been my 4th kill of the game, and there is only one more enemy ship left on the board, so sorry, Sneaky, no Kraken for you today. Hey, I'm used to it. I'm sure plenty of you guys out there have had 4 kills, and you just can't make the Kraken happen. Anyway, I'm using my next heal. Hopefully I'm going to be able to get back a decent bit. My deck armor gets rebalanced once again with the Citadels, and now at this point it's kind of red alert because I really need my AA to shoot down the planes, and wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happens. But only 13 planes shot down with 53,800 plane damage dealt. I'm sorry that I've mentioned the carriers quite a bit over my last few videos, but yeah, not good at all. Not good at all. Totally balanced. So, 4 minutes and 13 seconds left. We're going to get the 2 cap to 1 lead. The Shimakaze decided to go down to A and cap it for whatever reason. But anyway, we get the solo base cap. Now, what to do? I'm thinking to myself, I really want to get on the B cap because we know that the Shimakaze is going to be coming to the B cap. Obviously, that's a given. So I'm trying to find a position in the B cap where I can put myself as close as possible to the center without providing a good sight line for me to get detected. So whenever that Shimakaze does step on the cap, hopefully I'll be in a position where if he wants to spot me, he's going to have to find a very particular part of the cap to go to without himself being spotted. I'm trying to close the distance and basically hug the B cap as close as possible so that his assured detection range of about 5.4, 5.5 kilometers is going to be within mine whenever he spots me. So the position that I want to go to is Echo 5. I want to get my ass pointed to, I guess, the west-northwest, and I want to get my bow basically pointed east-southeast. So with that, if he wants to detect me without me being able to detect him, he's going to have to go down all the way to the corner of F6. But my Shimakaze friend, and I'm going to type it in chat here pretty soon, he's going to go into Echo 6, and then he's going to turn to the east and basically be ass in to the cap. At least that's what I was hoping for. So with that, whenever the enemy Shimakaze does eventually get on the cap, I should be in a good position, assuming that I can get to the island in time, to where when that Shima steps on, he's going to not be capping it, I'm going to be there, and hopefully we can ambush him and take him out. So I'm going to that position. I'm executing my plan as I see fit. I only have 12,000 hit points, so if I eat one torpedo, I'm kind of screwed. So this is really the do or die moment of the game. We're at 952 to 906. I do get detected, but I don't think the Shimakaze was ready for me to be coming into the B cap along this azimuth, and I'm only able to close the distance after about 5 seconds. The Shimakaze is not going to be able to turn out in time, and I use my guns, I kill him, and that is the end of the game. Alrighty guys, taking a look at the post-battle results, 822,000 credits received and just under 11,000 total experience earned. This was not my first win of the day. I picked up Dreadnought and High Caliber, dealing 283,000 points of damage off of 128 shell hits. I shot down 13 planes, I killed 4 out of the 7 enemy ships, I had 4 fires, 6 citadels, 39 secondary hits, and 2 solo base captures. Taking a look at the team score, 3,252 base XP in ranked is absolutely monstrous, no question about it. I have seen some games already this season where there's been more damage dealt, both in carriers and BBs, but let's not try to marginalize this. 283,000 damage in ranked is absolutely preposterous. So definitely, if it wasn't for me in this game, I think it's safe to say that my team would have lost, but obviously there was some good help by the Shimakaze. So Eric 6, you did well enough at the mid to late stage of the game. Good support, taking out some ships, and being in a good position at the end of the game should have the need arised. Looking at the detailed report, 261k with the main battery, 242 with the AP, and 18,000 with the HE. I also did 8,000 damage with the secondaries and another 13,000 damage dealt with the fires that I set. I also tanked 111,000 damage, which is kind of close to the maximum that you really can in a Bourgogne. I know it can go up a little more because I did take some citadels from the carrier, but I really didn't have that much more HP to throw around. So that's why, like I said way back at the very beginning of this replay, the Bourgogne is definitely not a traditional battleship, and you should not play it as such. So I hope you guys enjoyed this ranked replay. Hopefully I can get some more of that up here coming soon. I am playing the hack on NA. You totally didn't just hear that, but maybe we'll get some gameplay of that up. I know people don't care for carriers right now, so probably not, but you didn't hear me say that. So with that being said, have a good day.